I'm Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
The 2021 Yarmouth Seafest came at a time when COVID restrictions were relaxing and outdoor gatherings were allowed with some limits. It certainly came at a time when people needed some distractions and a relative sense of normalcy for Yarmouth area residents. It certainly was not the Seafest of old, but Seafest President Darryl LeBlanc and his volunteer committee tried to make the most of it all and gave us a selection of things to do, spread out over a few weeks to make sure people had ample opportunity to attend all the events. Now that it's been a few weeks since the final day of the 2021 Seafest, we took the opportunity to chat with Darryl and catch up on his feelings about this year's event and looking ahead to next year.
Overall, we felt that the event was a big success. We were very, very pleased with the attendance turned out on the events that we held. And the participation overall was really great. We had a lot of positive response from people. And a lot of people were just really glad to be able to get out again. What worked? Definitely the music down on the waterfront. That was the big event. People just really enjoyed being able to get back out, get down on the waterfront, be able to sit and listen to some live music. Every night was very good crowds to it, and it was really positive. Some of the other things that worked really well, we were really pleased with the rum running. Again, we're trying to introduce that back in, and so we did a nice demonstration, had it recorded, and again, we're very happy with that. The Pirates, obviously, big success. Everybody loves the Pirates. Them coming in, doing their thing was really good, and then a lot of the online stuff was actually very popular as well. The photo contest. The Nookshuk contest was good. The scavenger hunt, our online scavenger hunt, was extremely popular. And I was a little concerned, I guess, or worried, because the first time we went to that type of format where we're doing it online, and we had, it was over 6 days, and wasn't really sure how that was going to take with people, but everybody seemed to have really enjoyed that, and was very, very happy with that.
So what's your takeaways? What have you learned from this year's event and the structure of how you ran Seafest?
Yeah, so and again, this year we obviously had to again, for 2 years in a row now, deal with the COVID protocols. And so, we took it over 18 days this year, and we tried to keep the events, minimal per day, 1 or 2 events, maybe 3 a day at the most, and we tried not to overlap the event. That was for, a few reasons. One, it was to prevent, a whole bunch of people gathering down at the waterfront all at the same time with multiple events going. And so that was actually very, very successful. And so we were happy how that turned out. We were happy with the crowds that we received. The participation on the online events was successful. There was a few events, that we didn't get good participation on, and that's okay. I mean, those are things that, we were able to put something out there each day for people to do, and I think that's the big success of it, was that every day we were able to run something.
And the weather cooperated.
Weather was fantastic. I'll tell you, there was days we weren't sure. We actually had to postpone one event because, again, for what it was calling for. We probably could have did that event if it would have ended up leading, if we would have done it that night, if we would have waited, we probably could have got that event in. But where it was outside, and with what they were calling for, we thought best to postpone it to the following week. But other than that, every event went off without a hitch.
Now, a couple of things were geared specifically towards the kids, like the mackerel toss and some of the other stuff. Are you looking to expand that part of it possibly?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there was a few events that we did. We obviously had the mackerel toss. We did the kite flying this year, which was a new event that we tried out. We the kids' weekend, the children's scavenger hunt. That's the first year that we went with actually two different types of scavenger hunts. One for really adults, and one for just children. And they both were very successful. So we'd like to continue and build on the mackerel toss. Obviously, is a staple. We have that both with the adults and children, and again, and having the pirates down during that time really helped bring the people down to the waterfront as well during that.
Now, as we record this, we're staring at possibly Phase 5 in a couple of weeks, and let's assume for a second that kind of holds. How does that impact your planning process into next year? Are you going to go at it with, say, a lowest common denominator of possibility of us slipping back into like a Phase 4 or 3, or are you going to just say, look, we've got a plan for it based on Phase 5?
Yeah, I think, and if I can step back to even this year on how we planned this year, we sort of planned for worst case scenario, but also with the way to be able to have the event to go. And I think we're going to do the same heading into next year. I'm not sure if we're going to look at actually 18 days next year. We might go back to the 11, 12, 13-day type of event and try to get a few more events in each day based on us being, possibly still continuing with a Phase 5, but also having that ability that if we had to expand it, if we were, slipping back into a Phase 4 or a Phase 3, that we would be able to do so. So I think that's how the planning is actually going to start looking, looking at an 11, 12-day event with the possibility that if we needed to, we can take it back to a 17, 18-day.
Now, we had the absence of the Coal Shed Music Festival this year, which, helped, I think, in your side in being able to at least showcase some music, and people were going, oh my God, music on the waterfront. Oh, I got to get down there, right? But let's assume for a second next year, the coal shed happens. Is that going to put you at a bit of a disadvantage in trying to, manage to get different bands for the Seafest event?
No, not at all. Actually, we're really hoping that Coal Shed can go next year. The more activity we have down on the waterfront, in that, the better it is for everybody, and that certainly includes us. We plan on having entertainment down on the waterfront. We will have bands down there, and again, and the more activity that we can get, if Coal Shed is a go, that's great. And actually, we honestly hope it is. Because again, if there's nothing like having that live music down on the waterfront throughout the summer to bring the people down, and so again, we'll actually touch base with Phil DeMille, and and certainly work with him if we absolutely have to, and hope for the best to maybe try to get both events to go.
I would like to think that there's no shortage of local music to line up for music on the waterfront.
There is a tremendous amount of local talent around, and again, and these were some of the decisions that we had to make, like when we booked the bands and that, and we still had artists reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm available these times if anything comes up, and we actually did have to, we had to replace one group there that had to back out a week before, and we were able to fill that right away. And so, and that's hats off to the local community and the talent that's around here, because there's certainly no shortage. We could run bands every night throughout the whole summer, and I'm sure there's enough talent around to be able to take care of that.
Now, you can't run an event like this without volunteers, so speak to that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, hats off to the volunteers, and I'll throw a...
Well, you're a volunteer yourself, right?
Well, we are, and again, the whole committee's volunteers, and they all work hard, and they're very experienced at doing this. And, we've had a lot of help and a lot of volunteers from different sides of just, people just contributing or helping out or whatever. And honestly, I've been involved with a lot of organizations and things, and I must say that this was one of, planning these events are not easy, but this was one of the most enjoyable and easiest events that I've had the pleasure of dealing with, of planning. And that comes all down to the volunteers that we had, both on the committee and the outside volunteers that contributed to this. They made everything as easy as can be, and again, I can't speak highly enough for the volunteers that we do have.
Now, you talked a little bit earlier about the Pirates of Halifax, and we all know how popular they are. But, you know, one of their mainstays as far as, you know, how they interact with everybody is just doing the walkabouts. You know, with COVID restrictions being what it was, I'm sure that put a little bit of a damper on their normal way of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, again, we had to figure out, okay, how do we make this work so that, you know, people can actually get out and see them. And that's when we worked hand in hand with the guys there from Halifax, and you know, they came up with the idea of in regards to the battle with the Redcoats, and also doing the Pirates 101 with the kids and things in that regard. And so we worked that whole kids weekend around with the Pirates, and that turned out to be very, very successful.
So one of the big things that they did this year, which we hadn't seen before, is they had a little bit of a skirmish with the Redcoats.
Yeah, and that was great. And again, and thanks to Lyman Berry and his group here from Yarmouth, and that for you know, being such great sports and participating in this, and that skirmish turned out to be a really fun thing to do, and you know, even prior to online, all the bantering back and forth between the Pirates and the Redcoats building up to the event, it was pretty exciting and fun to watch.
It's the reaction from some of the kids in the crowd and everything else. Those muskets and blunderbuss, they're loud.
Yeah, they are, and that really adds to it. And you know, and it was a lot of fun. You know, having this take place. The kids were really excited about it. It you know, brought the waterfront back to the, you know, 1700s and 1800s, and yeah, it was enjoyable.
What do you want?
I'll see you at the end of my bayonet.
I don't think so. You don't even have a bayonet.
Right here I do, sir.
Oh, got it hidden? That's not fair. Fair warfare only. Let me see you maybe on the other side, lads.
Soldier, fire!
Any last minute instructions for the men?
Don't shoot till you see the whites of their eye, or the black of their teeth.
Ah, you scabrous dogs! You're trying to run us out of the town of Yarmouth, are ya?
You'll be gone at the end of the day, you filth rat.
I don't think so.
Be coming up! Fire!
Let the battle begin! Ah!
Everybody ready!
Your king is a king!
Fire!
Whoa!
You can't twist us, lads. Not gonna happen. We remember Liverpool.
Come on, now, where's Army boots?
It's a military issue footwear. Where will you filthy bilge rats! You scabrous dogs! My mother drinks elderberry wine!
For king and country! Ah!
Yeah, that's what you think! Down with the king!
I want the old one on the left!
You couldn't even win the Euro Cup!
I'll take the dirty one in the middle!
Yes!
Surrender! There'll be no quarter!
The Pirates of Halifax managed to outflank the regiment and capture all the men. The Pirates wanted to know where they were keeping their artillery and were willing to employ some creative techniques to get that information.
Now we need to know where the artillery is.
Artillery?
And I'm gonna eat these pirate cookies right in front of you.
You're my favorite. No.
You not
Cookies. Are they gluten-free?
I know you want them. You know you want them.
For Sergeant Barry and his men, the guard on duty liked his rum more than he liked guard duty. So they were able to escape.
It's passed out, lads. Now's our chance.
Barra! Where are the prisoners?
Oh, drat.
Gary was able to chat with both teams after the skirmish was over.
My name's Lyman Barry, and I'm with the Royal Fencible American Regiment of Foot.
So, Lyman, tell me a bit of history about the actual regiment itself, if you could.
The regiment was raised in Nova Scotia. We garrisoned Fort Cumberland, which was at the time parts of New Brunswick today, but then it was Nova Scotia. Some parts went down into Maine. Nova Scotia did. So, yeah.
So, what gets you interested in reenactment?
Actually, it was Garth Dalton was the man that got me interested in it. He's no longer with us. He's passed on. He's been passed on 15 years ago now, and I've been doing this for 25 years.
25 years, you said?
25 years.
Wow. Now, you've got how many members of the reenactment regiment?
With our regiment, there's about 8 to 10, I think. Yeah.
Now, we're talking here, of course, on the Yarmouth waterfront, wrapping up the final weekend of Seafest, and you had the battle with the pirates of Halifax.
Smelly pirates.
It didn't do too well.
No, we did escape though, so that's a good thing, right? We still had our limbs intact.
So, you talked about your interest in the regiment. So, I'm looking here at the uniform or the costume. Can you talk a bit about that?
There's a few pieces to the uniform. I'm a sergeant, so I wear a sash. We have cross belts. One is for a cartridge box, which carries the cartridges. The other one is for the bayonet and or the sword. There's also, we have the jacket, we have a waistcoat, and then we have a shirt underneath, and then around the neck is a neck stock. And then we have the hat, which is called a tricorn hat. It's actually cocked in a certain way so that when the soldier carries his musket, on the left side, it doesn't hit the hat.
And the muskets are replicas? Is that the proper term?
Yeah, it's an authentic reproduction made in Italy of a Brown Bess musket. It's a 75 caliber flintlock.
So let me ask you, obviously you've got to have some training or practice, and we see you and other members of the regiment reenactment out often on the waterfront practicing. Can you talk about that? How often do you chaps get together a year for practice?
Well, we try to get together every Tuesday evening down on the waterfront at 6:30. We actually do encampments, but COVID has kind of put a little damper on that for the past couple of years. And we're hoping next year that'll be a lot better. We go all over Nova Scotia, Liverpool, Shelburne, Halifax, here, yeah, and yeah. So it's just a wonderful hobby. It's a family hobby too as well.
Lyman, can you talk about the reaction from the crowds, especially from the kids? I know that they love the pirates, and they'd love to see you guys dressed up in your uniforms, and you engage with them.
Oh, the kids they love it. I don't. It's so fun to see the reaction on their faces when they're hearing the muskets going off. I remember we did a parade. I think it was a Santa Claus parade one year, and so we were marching along, and I seen this little fella. He's sitting on his little chair, and I said to the guys, I said, "Okay, let's prime and load." We just got to him, and I said, "Okay, fire." Well, his eyes went big as saucers, and he fell back on his chair. He started crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was pretty funny, but yeah.
You mentioned about the history of the regiment, but I'm assuming that during your learning about that, and you've learned perhaps a wider history of that kind of culture here in Nova Scotia.
Oh yeah, Nova Scotia has a vast history. It's just there's so much history in Nova Scotia. And like Annapolis, like we try to get to Annapolis once a year, but because of COVID, we haven't for the past couple of years, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get back. But Annapolis is one of the original places of Nova Scotia, you know, and to be there and to be on those grounds, it's almost sacred. Yeah.
Just finally, Lyman, if someone's listening to this or seeing you folks out and around and they perhaps are interested in learning more about the regiment or joining the reenactment regiment, how can they do that?
They can either contact me or Lily Muse, either or, and either one of us can take some information and give them some information, and if they want to join up. So,
Lyman, Sergeant, thanks so much. Great talking with you.
You're welcome. Good talking to you too. Thank you.
Back here on the Yarmouth waterfront at the gazebo, and earlier at the final weekend of Seafest on Sunday, the crowds got to see a spectacular battle, if you will, between the Redcoats and the Pirates of Halifax, and I've been able to nab one of the pirates, Captain Barbosa, before they sail off to their next location to plunder. Captain, thanks for your time. I'm a little nervous interviewing you. You're kind of scary looking, you fellas.
Well, thank you, Gary, very much. Yeah, I'm a little bit deaf. My ears are ringing from all that gunfire and cannon fire that was going on down here behind runners today. So, in a few days we'll recover and we'll be back at it again.
Captain Barbosa, a lot of people down to the waterfront during Seafest enjoying you Pirates of Halifax. Really engage with the audience, especially kids. And they don't seem too scared of you. Some of them are a little leery, but obviously that must be difficult. You guys are at sea a lot and doing your plundering and all of that, but you kind of ease up a little bit when you're on shore with the public.
Oh yes, you know, we love it down here in Yarmouth town. It's a highlight of our season, really. I mean, it's such great hospitality. We've made a lot of friends here over the last 3-4 years, and we look forward to coming back again. And we put on a show this time around. We had the 3 blunderbusses, and we had a big mortar cannon, and we had another cannon, brass cannon as well, that we fired off, and people seem to really enjoy all the firepower and so on, and we keep it safe, safety first, of course. But yes, there's a lot of wee ones here that are really quite fascinated with the pirate genre, and we had a Pirates 101 at the coal shed there yesterday, which was very well attended, and there were some really unique questions at the end of the presentation that we were quite surprised about. So the children here seem to be very well versed in all of the pirate lore and also about the pirates that sailed along the east coast here in Atlantic Canada. So we're very very happy down here to come for Seafest. As long as they want to have us, we'll put it on our priority at our list every year for sure.
That was very interesting. Over to the coal shed stage, it was educational. I didn't know that there were female pirates, for instance.
Well, yes, and there was one around Nova Scotia many years ago called Molly Oliver, and she was quite an independent, strong woman who could do anything at all, as equal as a man. And then, of course, there were other pirates all sailing around the Caribbean. Mary Read and Anne Bonny, they were 2 famous ones as well that sailed with Captain Jack Rackham. So the history is very deep, and here in Atlantic Canada, and even in the Yarmouth area. Excuse me, and all the way up to the Bay of Fundy, Captain Kidd and so on. And of course, then there's the mystery of Oak Island, which I think many pirates were involved with there.
Now, Captain Barbosa, Yarmouth isn't the only port that you and your fellow Pirates of Halifax plunder. You get around the province, don't you?
Yes.
Or at least pre-COVID, because they keep you away. They don't want the pirates here during the COVID, but.
Yeah, well, things have started to. We've been getting a lot of requests for some stuff, and especially some television work as well. So we've got some surprises coming in the fall and into 2022. I'm losing my voice. I was screaming at the Redcoats today. Excuse me. Yeah, it's been very busy in the last little while. We're looking forward to a very strong 2022. with television work and also some other things. We do a commercial for Nova Scotia Rum Company called Fortress Rum. And today we did a commercial for Pirate Cookies.
Yeah, that was funny. Just finally, in wrapping up, Captain, tell me if folks would like to learn more about the official Pirates of Halifax. You guys are into the modern age too. Somebody helped you set up a Facebook page.
Yes, we've got some technologically advanced people that do some work for us, and we've got a page on the Book of Faces. Oh no, Facebook, I think it's called. And you can go on there and learn about all the stuff that we do and see some of the filming and stuff that we've done. And we're a family-friendly group, and we've been doing this since 2007. So now it's, 14 years now we've been doing this. And it's been wonderful to put a lot of smiling faces, smiles on people's faces. So it's very wonderful to do, and it's very rewarding in that regard, yes.
Captain Barbosa, thanks so much for your time, and I wish you and your fellow captains fair winds on your way home.
Yes, and to the good people of Yarmouth Town, we'll be back. Keep a weathered eye on that horizon.
So let's look ahead to 2022. Surely you've already started planning ahead and so on. So what have you come up with that might be a little different from what we've seen in 2021?
Yeah, well, again, we're hoping to bring back some of the events that, you know, of the previous years and that, and again, and you know, we're hoping that, again, and I know we said this last year, we're hoping that COVID will be a thing of the past, or at least we won't have the restrictions that we have, and maybe we can start building on some of the older events to get them back again. We'd really like to see the rum running take off to a full competition of teams of getting, you know, 4 or 6 teams that can be able to compete in the rum running. We really want to build on that. Obviously, the mackerel toss is going to stay. I also have to throw a shout out there to the Antique Car Club and those guys, the Classic Car group, because you know, that parade, that Classic Car parade, was really fantastic, and that really kicked off Seafest, and it really got everybody in the mood. So we're hoping, you know, I'm hoping the Antique Car Show can come back again next year. But if not, if they're not back, or even if they are, we still hope to be able to work with them to continue with the parade of that as well.
Well, certainly the Antique Car Show was a huge component. I mean, I know that wasn't directly a Seafest event, but certainly gave you something to build around.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, and we've worked with that group, you know, from the beginning in that regard, and we appreciate the fact that they put that on the weekend that we start Seafest or normally, and so that really helps us in that regard, and we you know, with the car crew. So, you know, this year, obviously, when they had to cancel the show, which is understandable, you know, we reached out to Lloyd Jedry and asked them about, you know, maybe the possibility of us, you know, of having the car parade at least, right, to be able to start off. And they were very, very accommodating and working with us in that regard. So
good. I mean, it's awesome to see that many vintage vehicles that are in the area. It's surprising how many there are.
We had, for that parade, there was 288 cars that participated. So that was pretty impressive.
That is impressive. That is impressive. Yeah. And I mean, you know, lots of they've been doing that, just little car cruises throughout the whole summer, and it's just awesome to sit back and watch all those nice cars go by.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And I also have to throw a big thanks out there to the local town and municipal RCMP for working with us as well, and providing the escorts and that. They did a fantastic job of clearing the streets and directing the traffic. So, you know, thanks to them as well.
So for 2022, at what point do you think maybe you'll have an outline for event schedule? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, well, we're actually meeting tonight, and we're going to start that process right away. So I think probably by later in the year, probably around November or so, we're going to know, the main events that we are going to be running and what we're going to be looking at again, and start building on there. There might be a few events added in here or there, or maybe a few little changes, but for the most part, we should have our outline, come early October to early November. We should know what we're going to be looking at for next year.
And same sort of dates we're looking at, July and August?
Yeah.
July,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, we always look at like the mid-July going to late July, and so we'll be looking at those same sort of dates.
Perfect. Just to kind of wrap it up, do you have there's an opportunity for you to thank some of your sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can, there's some really good sponsors out there that I really need to thank. First off, Rudders. They provide us a place to meet. They've done so much over the years with Seafest, and so thank you so much to them. CarQuest, and Coastal Financial Credit Union, Dairy Queen, Giant Tiger. There was Top Line, Scotia Fencing, Vernon Dion Fishing Supplies, the Lobster Track Company, the Grand Hotel, Y95. And I also want to thank you guys, Quinn, you and Gary, for doing these things, because all this media coverage really helps the event. And so we definitely want to put a plug out there for you guys as well.
I appreciate that. I mean, for us, this is what it's all about. In order to be able to see things, quote unquote, come back to normal, there's only one way to do it, and that's to get out and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So again, we want to thank all those, all the companies and all the coverage that we've received media-wise, and all the groups and everything. So, and if I missed somebody, I certainly apologize. Oh, I did actually. I see Scotia Garden Seafood and C2 Cafe, them guys as well.
Well, you sort of needed mackerel for the mackerel toss, right? So we got to put Scotia Garden in there.
Can't forget Scotia Garden, because they have been a big supporter, and they've donated all the mackerel over the years, and so thank you so much to those guys as well. So again, if I did miss anybody, I really do apologize. So,
well, once you've got things all sorted out, we'll look forward to chatting with you again, so we can get a preview of what's up and coming. And again, if anybody's listening, we are going to have a clip video for the skirmish, just putting together all the different angles to make it look good, and then we're going to have that posted up on the Seafest site.
That's great. And again, thank you so much, and definitely look forward to chatting again.
Thanks a lot, Darryl.
All right, thanks, Glenn.
I'm Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
And this has been Outside My Window.